When Ethan first met Laura, he believed he had found a woman who truly saw him for who he was. She had an easy smile, and her charm pulled him in from the first conversation. They met during a time when Ethan was rebuilding his life after losing his job and his confidence. Laura seemed understanding, supportive even, and for the first time in years, Ethan felt hopeful about the future. Within a year, they were married, and he thought they had something real, a bond built on trust, not convenience. But as months passed, Ethan started noticing subtle changes in Laura's behavior. She became distant, easily irritated, and more focused on social gatherings than spending time with him. When he'd ask what was wrong, she would sigh and say she was just tired. Ethan tried harder, planning small trips, surprising her with gifts, even taking on extra work to make her life easier. He thought she was just going through a stressful phase, but deep down, he sensed something deeper, something he didn't want to face. One evening, Laura came home late from what she claimed was a girls' dinner. Her perfume was stronger than usual, her smile forced. Ethan didn't say a word, but the unease grew inside him. A few days later, he saw a message pop up on her phone, a man's name he didn't recognize. The message read, "Last night was amazing. I can't stop thinking about you." His heart sank. That was the moment the illusion broke. When he confronted Laura, she didn't even try to deny it. Instead, she shrugged coldly and said, "You're overreacting. It's not like we're happy anyway." Ethan's voice trembled as he asked, "Then why did you marry me, Laura?" She hesitated for a moment before muttering the words that would burn into his mind forever. "Because I was desperate. I needed stability, and you were available." Ethan felt like the floor had been pulled from under him. Every memory, the wedding, their shared laughter, the quiet nights, suddenly felt fake. Laura stood before him, emotionless, as if she'd confessed something trivial. She didn't realize that with those few words, she had destroyed everything he had ever believed about their marriage. That night, Ethan didn't sleep. He sat on the couch, staring into the darkness, replaying every moment they'd shared. He thought about the way she'd once called him her anchor, how she'd cried when he proposed, and how she used to hold his hand in public. Now it all seemed rehearsed, a performance for stability, not love. By morning, something in him had changed. He decided he would no longer be the quiet, forgiving husband. The first thing he did was call his bank. He canceled every credit card under her name and changed access to all joint accounts. Laura had grown used to his financial support, the luxury dinners, designer bags, weekend getaways. But that day, her access vanished in minutes. When she tried to use her card later that afternoon and it was declined, her expression was pure disbelief. She came home furious. "What did you do, Ethan?" she demanded. He looked up calmly from his laptop and said, "I just stopped paying for someone who doesn't love me." She scoffed, calling him petty, but beneath her anger, he could see the panic. Her life had revolved around convenience, and now it was slipping away. Within a week, Ethan filed for divorce. Laura thought he was bluffing at first. She tried to manipulate him with guilt, even pretending to cry, saying she had made a mistake. But Ethan had seen too much to ever trust her again. He told her quietly, "You didn't marry me out of love, Laura. You married your safety net. I'm just removing it." As the divorce moved forward, Laura's charm faded into bitterness. She tried to paint Ethan as cold and heartless to her friends, but most saw through it. The truth had a way of surfacing, and people noticed how she had changed after the money stopped flowing. Ethan, on the other hand, found peace in silence. He focused on rebuilding himself, this time without carrying someone else's weight. Months later, he heard from a mutual friend that Laura was struggling financially. The man she'd been seeing had left her after discovering her manipulative side. She was living in a small apartment, working long hours just to stay afloat. Ethan didn't feel joy in her downfall, only relief that he had escaped before losing more of himself. One day, while sorting old papers, Ethan came across their wedding photo. In it, Laura was smiling brightly, and he was holding her hand with pride. He studied the picture for a while before placing it back in the box. "I was desperate too," he whispered, "for love, not truth." Then he closed the box and put it away for good. Years later, Ethan would look back on that painful chapter as a turning point. It had taught him the difference between being needed and being loved. And though it left scars, it also gave him strength, the kind that only comes from surviving betrayal and choosing dignity over revenge. Laura's words had once crushed him, but in the end, they freed him. Because when someone tells you they only married you out of desperation, the best response isn't anger, it's walking away, and never looking back.